That's all
The
that
urge to
naturally
watch
is.
Nomeo and Juliet
No!
grows exponentially. I remember
Who plays Nomeo?
James McAvoy
Yes. Okay.
and
that's
Emily
it, that's
Blunt.
it.
James McAvoy said
Goated
he
casting.
whispered some lines as Nomeo, and little kid me was like, I feel
Yeah,
funny.
I'm like, why is
that gnome kind of sexy?
Why is Nomeo kind of sexy?
Fucking. Even as kid, I was like, why is Emily Blunt making me feel some type of way?
Oh my god, what were the I feel like we should keep this in.
Yeah,
Should we keep this in?
sure.
Hi guys. Hi, hello. Welcome back to the Point and Left podcast with your hosts
Skyler.
and Kaylynne.
Rings are back, haha.
Yay, fuck you. Whatever.
That was real.
They love to see me on my downfall. No, let's continue this conversation. Who were like animated characters as a kid that you were like, why am I feeling things?
Oh god. So we already established Nomeo.
Yeah.
But that's just James McAvoy's fault. So there is a voice actor. He did the voice for Max in a Goofy movie. And it's like that like youthful, scratchy kind of voice. And I'm like, oh cool. Problem is that same voice went on to voice a growly, angsty, sexy character that also happens to be a lion.
Oh my god, is it like Teen Scar or whatever?
Kovu, yeah. As a kid I was like, why are you doing this to me? Come on.
Everyone talks about that. I don't remember which movie was that in. Was that in the third?
Yeah, Simba's Pride.
I don't think I watched that. I don't think I watched that.
Putting it on. It's upsetting how sexy he made his voice for a kid's movie. And then he also voiced Thackeray Binks in Hocus Pocus. And as a kid, I'm like, that's just a cat. Like, what are you doing to me? That's not like even an anthropomorphized cat. That's just a talking cat. And my brain's like,
you're not even giving him smoldery eyes.
no, and he's just like, way to go, Max. And I'm like, stop it.
I loved Robin Hood from the Disney animated.
The Fox?
Yeah.
Who can blame you?
The Robin Hood Fox.
I got made fun of for having a crush on Double D from Ed, Ed, and Eddie, the feminine
Who?
little boy.
Which one is that? Wait, pull up a picture. Who's that?
Oh god, you're gonna make fun of me. I thought his beanie was long hair.
Oh no.
It's the high pitched goof. This
No.
one. Yeah. This guy.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Skyler. It does kind of look like hair. I thought it was hair too. I thought
this is his hair.
Yeah.
That's
That's
just the
so
beanie.
much worse. I thought that it. Okay, why would you even, if you thought that was his hair, why would you like him? Because it looks like the fucking like Mrs. Frankenstein hair with like the two gray streaks in it.
He was whiny and neurotic and shy. I don't know what else you want.
No. Anyway, this is actually kind of a strange segue, but we're gonna make it anyway. Speaking of childhood characters.
Ooh, there you go.
This week we are discussing child influencers, aka
Kidfluencers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What a
we did not come
reveal.
up with that term, but we're going to be using it because it's a perfect term.
It is, yeah. The world of kidfluencers. Yeah, let's get into it. What are the
Yeah.
different types? Take it away.
So the prevalence of kidfluencers, so already like the internet is a wide and vast place, and influencers can crop up with every niche, but kidfluencers, okay, so in general, we are outnumbered 1 billion to 1 by kids on the internet. Like kids scrolling through having like lied about their age when they made their own YouTube account. They're like, I am 13 years old. They're like,
Me.
Yep. Everyone, right? I made myself 40 when I got my first Facebook account. I made myself older than my parents when I got it. And then they let me go back in and change it, obviously, but I'm just like, oh shoot. But so people like kids with unrestricted internet access have so much, like they have the YouTube, Instagram, They have the YouTube. They have those like audiences like chokehold.
Yeah.
Most of them.
Yeah.
You have all these little kids with like they just have underdeveloped brains
Yeah.
that seek out content that would like interest them. And there are two options when you have like that. You either have adults who act like kids to get the kid view with like, we bought a gay potion off the dark web and we're gonna drink it at 3 a.m. and turn into Among Us.
Among Us.
And the alternative to grown-ass adults acting like kids to like get kids to click on their videos is just kids themselves catering to kids.
Yeah.
Which like it's not a new phenomenon, you know, like Nickelodeon, Disney Channel, they either had kids or they had like 20-year-olds pretending to be kids.
Yeah.
But like kids seek out kid stuff. Like, that's just kind of whatever. And as more and more kids, like, kind of stray away from cable and, like, long-form scripted content into more, like, short-form, like YouTube, TikTok, Instagram Reels, Snap Stories, you know, the more that the market is going to fit around the new audience landscape. So that's where Kidfluencers kind of pop up. So they're, like you're saying, kind of two types. You got the family-backed Kidfluencers and a single kid as just like a lone influencer themselves. So both exploit kids in different ways. So you get the family-backed influencers are like family vlog channels, family YouTubers, family accounts. Those are like the privacy-lacking videos of parents filming their kids in their quote-unquote daily lives, being so blind to their children's right to privacy that they use every event in their kids' lives as video fodder. Like filming Braden's trip to the principal's office, that can be monetized. Mackenzie's first period, her crush, teaching the toddlers how to potty train, like that can be monetizable. Those videos could go viral.
Well, and just to interrupt super quickly, I think that so many of those parents also like realize what titles and like screen grabs are going to attract audiences. So they will literally intentionally put like clickbaity titles that are going to attract viewers. Like I think there was one that I came upon. It was literally like a 10-year-old girl, and it was like Victoria's Secret try on, and she was trying on like pink sweatpants and like stuff like that. But it's like, you know, by putting that title, like the types of people that you're going to attract. And to a lot of these parents, it doesn't matter because all publicity is good publicity, and like you're gonna make a shit ton of money from it. So why does it matter?
Definitely gonna get into like leaning into the algorithms and how like parents can get swept up in that. But like as far as the family vloggers go, like say you have a week that's slow, right? That's boring. You could exaggerate the tiniest things to like fill out an episode. You could encourage your kids to have big personalities or like big reactions to make better content. And to the kids in the family vlog channels, the camera is always on them. Like every serious talk they have with their parents are probably recording it. They put it on the internet. Every time they have a tantrum, that gets uploaded to TikTok. Everything they do is, every good news they get, they have to like remind the camera that like they get a merch drop coming in soon. Like it's they sell it as a unit of the kid and the family, but most of the focus is on the kids rather than the parents. And if it's a lone Kidfluencer, meaning like you don't see their parents, right? You don't see their family. It's just kind of them like with a selfie being like, "What's up, gang, it's me, it's your boy." Just being like a little kid holding the camera up, selfie mode. If you don't see the family, it's just assumed to be them and only them in front of the camera. Their parent or guardian is still behind the camera, whispering their lines, managing their account, and then being like, "No, you can hang out with your friends, but first you have to do a Fortnite Let's Play video so we can get money for ads." The biggest, like, most infamous example of the Kidfluencer being solo was Lil Tay. You remember Lil Tay, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I'm taking this information comes from an article from The Cut. It says, "Who was Lil Tay? The making and marketing of a 9-year-old meme machine." So she was really popular in 2018, 2019. She was like that little girl that was like, "You already know who it is. It's Lil Tay. We out here in Bentleys. My toilet costs more than your rent."
That's a good impression.
Thank you. I work hard. So her thing was like, she was like a little girl, like flexing, calling you poor.
Gucci sweatsuits.
Like cursing you out. She had like a super foul mouth with a really high pitched voice. She was a really big child influencer that year. She went viral because people loved to hate her because she was ridiculous and funny in like a cringy way. She got filmed like doing like being in the middle between a fight with like Bad Barbie and another one of like child influencers, and when she was involved in that fight, her follower count went up to like 2 million in a day. Like so that's what she was kind of famous for. Later it's found out that her brother, actually failed influencer who wanted to make it and failed, was forcing her to basically, he gave her all these lines, things to say, how to act, was coaching her on like behavior stuff. Her mom, who was a real estate agent, was seeking her into these mansions to pretend that she's the one that lived in them. Both of them obviously coaching her to be outrageous and obnoxious. And then the camera's cut off and you see that she's actually very soft-spoken. She's very shy. Like she was on the news. Some camera footage was uncovered where she's actually like kind of timid and doesn't really know super what's up or what she's doing. She just thinks she's playing a part. So Lil Tay, she's gone now. Her channel got deactivated. I think she's currently like living with her dad, getting therapy for stuff. Like Little Tay's disappeared, and people since were like, what the hell was that? And it's just an example, like, of exploitation of the negative kind. We're going to get into, like, how a lot of the family blog channels don't view their exploitation of their kids as anything negative, because it's all positive stuff.
Well,
or,
they
like,
don't
stuff to
view
learn
it as
from.
exploitation, period.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Little Tay was, like, the biggest example of exploitation of the negative kind, of using the algorithm in a negative way to gain, instead of like good attention, just like infamy. Using your algorithm in any way that you can, when they are little.
Yeah. Well, purposefully using your kid or sibling in this case to do controversial things because you know it'll like garner attention.
And not to say that every kidfluencer does just like controversial things. Usually, like,
yeah, sometimes they're just like normal.
Yeah, kidfluencers are just like your average influencers. They get brand deals, they get sponsorships, they take photo shoots. They're talking about like their day, their thoughts. They pose with, you know, their branded cereal or like leggings that they were gifted. They can make vlogs about like their new video game, or like that's just basic, and it's influencing their audience, whoever it may be, to probably interact, go to this place, buy some things. Audiences though, because like my thing was like, who's watching this?
Yeah, there are kind of two different like audiences, and I think two different like genres of frankly, I think there's more than two different, but there's like two different audiences that like kidfluencer content is marketed towards. And so obviously there's the content that is like marketed towards kids. You have, I forgot who that one kid was, but the one unboxing kid who like he unboxed toys and was like the number one, like made the most money out of any YouTuber in, I think it was like 2021 or something. So you have content like that is like directly marketed towards children, for children to be consuming. But then you also have like the mommy bloggers or like the mommy TikTokers, where their content is more so geared towards like other parents, and specifically typically other mothers. So with these two different types, right now I'm gonna more so focus on like the mommy bloggers and the mommy channels, because I think it's just something that a lot of people don't really like critically think about a lot, and like the negative effects of those channels, because they are not specifically marketed towards children. And I think the issues with this type of content is, first of all, you are targeting a specific but also broad group of people. How many people are mothers? There are like so many mothers in the world. God bless them. But I think channels like this have the best of intentions and attract audiences that like need a sense of community and can provide a sense of community and relatability for these mothers. Like you get these channels and you get this content where like you have a mother who is maybe like emotionally distressed because their child is having a meltdown and they're trying to handle it while also like doing all this other stuff. And it's incredibly relatable as a mother. You're like, oh my God, here's someone else who's going through the same thing that I am going through. And it's like someone to relate to. And then you go into the comments and you can see all the other mothers who are also relating to it and like sharing the other mothers and are like sharing their own experiences. And it can seem like a really positive thing. And I think in a way it is, in the way that it like provides that sense of community. But I think when you really like dig deeper into the cause of why these mothers need that sense of community, it's just a much larger like societal flaw. And I think a big reason for that is that like our society currently as it is not built to support mothers. Like rearing children is a historically like communal activity, and it is something that like necessitates community. It necessitates community, and in our like world of capitalism, that unfortunately is not a priority. And so there are so many parts of being a parent that are burdened onto the mother that are not necessarily burdened onto the father in the same way. So it can be incredibly isolating, and especially when you're a new mother and maybe you decided to be a stay-at-home mom, or maybe you're just on maternity leave and you know all of these things. It is so incredibly isolating, and I think so many people become parents and don't really understand or foresee this side of parenthood, which is your life is forever changed. Your life is forever changed. You're not going to have the same time to go out and see your friends. You're not going to have the same time to have a life outside of your kid. And you lose your personhood in that way. And that is so isolating. So then you get these mommy blogs, and it can feel so rewarding and so like communal and like social in that way. And I think it really helps mothers in that way to like have friends kind of, to have like quote unquote friends. But at the end of the day, those mommy bloggers are still exploiting their children. They're still posting videos of their child having a meltdown. That stays on the internet forever, and that child did not consent to have that shared. And there's also no way for the child to have control over. I mean, we all fucking know reality TV, and I think we can all see reality TV with like, take it with a grain of salt, and you're like, these people don't have any control over how they're edited. These children are the same way.
Yeah.
These children are the same fucking way. They have zero control over how they are being edited. They have zero control over what narrative is being pushed. And I think you think about the amount of people who have like narcissistic parents and when their parents are like talking to their friends and they're like spinning the story of what happened, and you overhear it as a kid and you're like, that's not what happened.
That's not what I said. That's not how I said it. But like, God forbid my parent isn't the victim in this story.
Exactly. And I think that's the negative side of these mommy bloggers is that like it's still exploitive. It is still exploitive. You are still putting your child on the internet to be critiqued, to be commented on. And at the end of the day, like the deeper rooted issue is that we as a society have lacked in providing substantial support to mothers. And like, I don't know the solution to that. I don't know how that's going to change. I don't know when that is going to change. But like, the solution is not these fucking mommy blogs.
Or the solution also, like, it's the same problem, different results, same like end game. Is because when you have like a super isolated mom, they either go the route of like making the mommy blogs, or they're just so burnt out they can't handle it. They need to go back to doing their like life and job. They're just like, here, kid, get an iPad.
Yes.
And then the kid will just sit there unsupervised and watch mommy blogger stuff or kid related stuff. So it's the same problem, different solutions to the exact same problem again. They meet in the middle.
Crazy.
Like, yeah. It all just comes back to like lack of support, because if your kid had the proper support systems, you wouldn't feel like you needed a constant like break, or they needed to be constantly entertained. Otherwise they'd get in your hair. Otherwise you couldn't be able to like do your chores or like your job, your life. So you just need your kid to shut up for like an hour, and going on YouTube Kids for an hour might as well.
Yeah.
You know?
Which is like not the fault of the parent at all. Like I have never raised a child. Like I don't know how difficult it is. I can imagine how difficult it is, and I have so much empathy for parents and in that situation, and I totally understand just like needing to fucking take a break. Just needing to take a break. And it is unfortunate that this is the solution that has come about, rather than other broader solutions that frankly would have a much more positive impact.
Yeah. And honestly, like with how large these audiences are, like again, they're either like mommy bloggers or just like kids unsupervised on like their iPads or tablets or whatever. The audiences are so large that you would think there'd be rules put in place, because if there's millions of people watching something, surely it can be like regulated then to make sure that everyone. No, it's absolutely like, it's honestly crazy for how large this idea is, how large this industry is. There's a shocking lack of regulation for it. So like it's been compared a lot to like Hollywood of like child actors, and while like obviously children can get exploited in Hollywood too. Obviously, everybody stop this podcast right now and go read "I'm Glad My Mom's Dead" by Jeanette McCurdy. Everyone. But there are regulations for child actors and child like models, commercial actors in Hollywood right now. They can be skirted around, obviously, but there's Coogan accounts, like studio provided tutors, labor laws, appointed therapists, contracts, legal guidelines, like the list goes on. But influencing is kind of like the wild, wild west of children's entertainment, because there's no guidelines on it, because it's all taking place in the privacy of one's home. And as long as you're not posting like actual child porn, you can post whatever you want about your kid on any of your social platforms. And if there's this much of an incentive and no restrictions for it, it's kind of a recipe for disaster. Yeah. Because then you're like, okay, aside from, having a sense of community, and aside from entertainment, like what is the big incentive for Kidfluencers, for parents in the beginning? Oh my God, there is so much money. There's so much money involved in kid-backed things. So in general, and this predates the internet, but kids are crack to advertisers because they're easy to sell to and they're easy to buy for. Kids they don't have that thing in their brain that's like, oh, this is an ad.
Yeah.
Like, unless it's a commercial on TV, they won't know when they're being sold something, and they're really easy to buy for.
Yeah. Well, and even when it is an ad, like, I feel like so many children don't realize that they are being sold a product. It's more just like, oh, they're just like letting me know that this is a thing that I might be interested in.
And I am interested in it.
Mom,
yeah. I want it for Christmas.
Yeah.
So there's this giant like marketing industry that wants kids to star in kid content because they want kids to sponsor their video game or their toy or whatever to other kids. And because of all those kids with internet access, this kid-friendly videos get millions of views, ergo hundreds of thousands of dollars, depending on how many views your videos get. On top of that, advertising money for ads that play before, during, and after your video. On top of that, any brand deals that you do. This can be worth like millions and millions of dollars, and you are not legally required to give your kid any of it. Versus like Hollywood, Coogan accounts, apparently, like, again,
there are certain things, it depends. So technically what is supposed to happen is that production is supposed to obtain basically the information to the kid's Coogan account, and it is up to production to deposit the 15%. It's supposed to be 15% of the gross amount that they make goes into the Coogan account. But not every production does that. There are a lot of non-union productions where like they just pay cash on set, or they'll just send a check and they don't actually deposit the money into the Coogan. And in situations like that, it is up to the parent to, or not, I shouldn't say up to, like the parent is supposed to, like, let's get this very clear. The parent is absolutely supposed to, in those situations, make sure at minimum 15% is getting deposited into their Coogan. But there's typically no follow-up. Like there's no, there's no way to ensure that in situations like that. But overall, like,
in theory, the Coogan account is the parents.
It is
can't
a way
touch
to protect them. Yeah, it is a way to protect them.
It's a bank account that the parents themselves cannot access. It's the kids' money, and it's automatically theirs when they turn 18 to do whatever it is that they want with it.
Yeah.
But influencer, they don't have anything like a Coogan account. No. It's just kind of like you get the money, and it's up to your parent to decide whether they want to use it on them, on the house, on a car, or on the kid. Millions of dollars. And so parents take a look at this industry that's blossoming and bubbling with millions of dollars, and they look at their cute kid that's always online anyway. And it doesn't take much to convince these parents that this could be an easy way to make a shitload of money. And again, usually they go in with the best intentions, and they convince themselves that, like, okay, as long as I have a hand in overseeing my child's online career, there's no way that harm can come to them, right? Because I'm going to be their manager. Except no, because the world is cruel and shallow, and it is so easy to get swept up in the clout-chasing bubble and trend cycles and chasing the bag that they end up treating their child less like their kid and more like their toy. Like, yeah, maybe in the beginning it was your kid's idea because they want to be famous and they like attention and they've seen enough YouTuber videos to also want to be unboxing fancy toys and going to these cool places and whatever. So maybe it was your kid's idea at first. And those checks start coming in, and suddenly it's very important to be trending, to be relevant, and you can't just stop.
Yes. Well, and especially in situations like that, like, I truly do think that so many, here's the thing with this. People will do so much mental gymnastics to convince themselves that what they are doing is okay, because I think it's human nature to like want to believe that you're a good person and to want to believe that all of the decisions that you're making are inherently good, and like that's just not the case, especially in situations like this. So many of these parents go in with the best of intentions, and maybe it was their child's idea at first and they're like, oh my god, like this is so fun for my kid, we get to spend more time together, we're bonding. But I think the line gets drawn and the line gets crossed once you become financially dependent on this lifestyle. Because so many of these parents, like if they had like jobs before this, they typically quit them and they're like, no, this is my full-time job, and you are now solely profiting off of your child. And that in and of itself takes away the freedom for your child to choose whether or not this is like something that they want to do.
Yeah.
Because let's say it gets to a point where the kid is like, I really don't want to do this anymore. I really don't want to be on YouTube anymore. I just want to be a normal life. Unfortunately, at that point, in the situation, they're a very successful, you know, like child influencer. They probably have brand deals that they have already, they already have contracts for. So many of these brand deals are done months in advance, and they have to hold up their end of the bargain. So then maybe the parent is like, okay, but we have to do these things first. We have to do these things first. But then it's like, okay, let's say that then they finish those brand deals, whatever. They're like, okay, I'm done with those. I did those. I held up my end of the bargain. I want out. What are you supposed to do? The parents, I'm assuming in most of these cases, don't have a second job that is like even close to as lucrative as this is. So what's going to happen? You stop making videos and you lose your house, you lose your cars, you lose
go back
your
to
lifestyle.
And like a regular like 9 to 5 or like office format instead of just like coming up with videos, coaching your kids, editing them, buying fans. Like, you're just going to want to go back on that. Even if you agreed to do that, there's got to be a ton of guilt tripping involved in that. You're like, oh, okay, well, it would be really fun if we could go to, I guess we'll cancel the vacation we went. You have to say goodbye to all your friends that you made in that really fancy, like, Insta whatever trip that we were invited to. Yeah. I'll tell them you don't want them to see you anymore.
It just takes any choice away from that child because it's a job. Yeah. Like, you have other people relying on you, especially when you get to a point in your career. Like, most of these families have managers, they have agents, they have like all of these other people who are also reliant on their income. And that is so much pressure to put on a kid. I mean, it's the same thing with child actors. Like, that is a huge amount of pressure, and I think so many of those children feel an intense amount of guilt and feel that they have to continue because so many people are depending on them. And so and that's just like not fair to put on a child, like, in any situation.
Yeah, the pressure is really important to this topic of like algorithms, because again, like I was saying, it's very important to be trending, to be relevant. And a lot of like YouTube and TikTok and Instagram, whatever, their trends, they're usually not very kid friendly. But after a while, if you're so caught up in your own like internet bubble, what's appropriate stops mattering. They forget what's appropriate in the real world because it is appropriate online, which is why like a lot of families, when they get caught in scandal, they just like, oh, I was so consumed by like the world of the internet that I like forgot that that's super not okay to like do that with my kid. So for YouTube and Instagram, the more often you post, the algorithm will reward you by spreading your video notifications to a larger number of accounts, because the algorithm says that you are a channel that's consistent, and they want to reward consistency because in the end that will make them more money, more foot traffic on the site. Once you have that launch, those videos are more likely to skyrocket in views because YouTube gave you way more exposure. And when you're raking in views and uploading consistently, the algorithm will again reward you by pushing your videos on the home page, on the trending page, on people's recommended videos, since you've proven to them that your channel is high traffic, high quality, that people like to interact with. Like YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, they all want views as badly as you do because that's more money for them, that's more money for you. So there is this huge incentive to post as often as you can so you can keep that streak going and make the most money. And that means that there's constantly posting and making videos to make sure the algorithm favors them. That is a ton of pressure. Like, what if that day nothing exciting happens to this family? They need to post. They have a brand deal waiting on the video uploading, or they're in like risk of breach of contract. They can't just post nothing. So that desperation starts to kick in. So like fake pranks, fake like family news, skits, whatever you can do to fill up a 10-minute video time frame or a post or like a TikTok or something, regardless if that's what your kid wants to do or not, regardless if it's appropriate or not or embarrassing for them. And that's just like the day-to-day pressure, yearly pressure, you know, like the younger your kids are, the more likely you are to have platform engagement. So it's like, well, we got to get these videos in now while our kids are cute and adorable because they won't be that way forever. I think it's the Ace family, but I'm sure they didn't come up with this idea of controversy. But like a lot of the hugely popular family vlog channels, they're accused of purposefully like getting pregnant because it's good for business. Like you announce a pregnancy, that's a video. Pros and cons of pregnancies, like as it goes on, like your first trimester tips, like that's a video. Hey kids, you're gonna be a big sister announcement, that's a video. Gender reveal, that's a video. Vlog on your way to giving birth, that's a video. And then you have like 7 years of a cute kid that you can have guaranteed audience for until you can just churn out the next one.
Well, and on the other side of things too, let's say you have a vlog. I think this happened with the like LeBrant family, where I don't know. I don't remember all the details, so I'm going to be vague about it. I don't know if it was them or not. But basically something happened where they did some like clickbait where they were going to a like doctor appointment because the wife was pregnant, and they clickbaited that like something was wrong with the baby. And it turned out that like there actually wasn't anything wrong, and it was just like a possibility, or like the doctor just like briefly mentioned that like, oh, that's something to like be aware of. So they used that as clickbait, and they got a bunch of flack for it, as they fucking should. But that's the other thing, is that like when dramatic things happen, that is so many views. So it's like if something bad happens to your kid, you're gonna get a shit ton of money for that. And that system like just does not work for the safety of the kid at all.
Even like the Little Tay situation, like the obvious, like Little Tay was not popular. Like the reason that Little Tay got a ton of followers was not because people liked her. It's because people were like,
they thought she was annoying,
disliking her content, leaving her a ton of hate comments, being like, you're a little girl, like this is embarrassing, like I hate you, your stupid face. Like, but the algorithm can't tell when people are being negative or not. They just see engagement. They just see people either liking or disliking the video and leaving comments in general. And that's still engaging with it. That's still going to push that content to the top of the For You page of whoever it is. So as far as the algorithm knew, even though everyone was disliking her stuff and leaking negative comments, Little Tay was what everyone wanted to see. So even if nothing is like really going wrong with your kid or with your family life right now, you could get into controversy. You could do something bad on purpose. If you're that desperate for views and that desperate to stay trending, you can do something bad. Or you could teach your coach your kid to say something controversial, do something controversial, and that will guarantee maybe not sponsors, but fame. And with fame eventually will come sponsors who don't really care about the squeaky clean image of whoever it is they're using to peddle their product. So that's when the more desperation you are to latch on to relevancy, the more you could put your family at risk for like purposefully having controversial stuff.
Well, and I feel like there have been so many situations where like, you know, obviously these people make a shit ton of money, and I think this actually happened with the Ace family where like, I don't know, the kids were given like fucking like Louis Vuitton like backpacks or something, and they like weren't happy about it, because what is a 4-year-old supposed to do with a Louis Vuitton backpack?
Like, I want Moana on my backpack.
Yeah, they're like, I want Paw Patrol. Like, what is this? And I remember so many people were like, oh my god, your kids are such spoiled brats. Like, I can't believe. And then like the kids get so much flack, and it's like, they're children. They are children. And also, not only that, you don't know what is happening behind closed doors. No. You don't know what other like forces are causing this child to act this way, especially children who like have trouble regulating their emotions because, you know, they don't have that understanding yet. They might throw a tantrum for seemingly no reason, or seemingly about something superficial or something like just very stupid, but the actual deeper cause is that like their parents are fucking exploiting them, and like
they don't feel listened to. They feel like they don't have any control in their lives. And even like, this is just not just Kidfluencers, but also in general, like once someone really explained it to me that like, oh my god, my kid, like I gave them the wrong kind of pasta and they screamed for 20 minutes, where it's like kids or whatever. But then like someone explained it to me that like that is the most your kid has ever felt. They don't know that it's trivial. They don't know that it gets worse. They don't know that it could get any better. In that moment, they have something that they're not happy with, and that is, at that time, the most disappointment that they've ever felt. So they're going to express it. You know that it's dumb and trivial and whatever, but to them, like, they were ignored. Now they have to sit through something they don't like. They have, like, texture sensory issues that no one's listening to them.
People forget what it's like to be a kid. Like,
yeah, and stuff like this certainly isn't helping.
No. Oh my god, no. So we kind of touched on this, a little bit earlier, but I just circle back. I think so many parents will truly convince themselves that they are doing this for the benefit of their kids. And I think it kind of goes back to I watched and I sent Skyler a like mini documentary on kid influencers.
It's hard to watch. Yeah, it was hard.
I think it was like ABC or CBS. I don't know, some news like documentary that they did. And I'll link it in like the show notes or whatever, but some of the parents are
evil.
Literally. And you can tell it's, again, going back to that idea of like people want to think that they are good and people want to think that they never make any mistakes and that they are doing everything with the best of intentions. And it's like your intentions can be so good and so pure, but that doesn't have an impact, unfortunately, on the effect. Effect of what happens. And in the documentary, there are these parents who the interviewer is literally asking them, they're like, well, are you saving any of this money for your kids? And they kind of try and like skirt around it, and they don't really give a clear answer. Well, no, this is what they say. They're like, oh, well, they have like a Coogan account for when they do like commercials and like modeling and stuff. So they, like they get that. And it's like, yeah, that's the law when you're doing stuff like that.
Admit to a crime on camera.
Yeah, so that's literally the bare minimum because you are legally obligated to do that. But then they literally straight up say, they're like, no, we're not saving any of this money for them that they like are making off of being an influencer, because they get to reap the benefits of this lifestyle that we are providing for them. I think you mean the lifestyle that they're providing for you.
And then that guy gets so, like, defensive. Yeah. The dad gets so defensive. He's like, so what does that mean? Like, we're the ones doing all of this work anyway. Like what? I just take a picture of my kids when my kids did all that work. Mm-hmm. I'm the one that made the photo shoot, booked the photographer. I'm going to go in and edit it, post it at the right time, whatever. Like, I'm the one doing all the work, not my adorable, cute kids. So, I mean, what does work even mean?
So they feel like they deserve all of the money that is coming in. And I think that the biggest issue with this is that it removes the parent-child relationship and it becomes an employee-employer relationship.
Yeah.
Which is so like clearly damaging to the relationship that you have with your children, because you are turning this, what is supposed to be an unconditional relationship, to a transactional relationship where you are only happy with your child when they are providing you content that you can profit off of.
Have you seen Honey Boy yet?
Yeah.
Have you? Oh,
yeah, God. That line.
I'm going to say it again because it's goosebumps every time. But Honey Boy, God damn it, Shia LaBeouf. It would have been the best movie ever. I'm just going to choose to believe that he's lying about this. But Honey Boy is a movie about Shia LaBeouf's young life, directed by Shia LaBeouf. And he also plays his own father in the movie. And there's this line where his dad goes to young Shia and he's basically like, do you have any idea how it feels to know that my son is paying me? Do you have any idea how that feels? And the boy looks at him. He's like, you wouldn't be here if I didn't pay you. It's the last line of the trailer. Goosebumps every time.
I just got goosebumps. I got goosebumps.
It's me, Shia LaBeouf. It's me, Ferb. Yeah, that transactional making because then it's like almost you are each other's boss, because like you know that you couldn't do any of this without your parent pulling all the strings, but also they couldn't do this without your face and like charisma behind the camera. So it is like this weird cycle.
Here's the thing, I see literally zero possible outcomes where this situation doesn't like negatively impact your relationship with your child.
Oh no.
There are no outcomes where this is improving your relationship with your child.
It's like watching Dance Moms and looking at the moms and being like, what's wrong with all of you? Do you all just secretly hate your daughters? Like,
it's I don't know. And it's like, obviously, it's hard because it's like, I understand that like parents are people too, and they are trying to do like, they are trying to make the best decisions and they are bound to make mistakes. But like, this is a colossal mistake. And I think that's why so many of these parents cling on to their intentions so hard, is because I truly think that they do realize. I think that deep down they know that like this is going to have a negative impact on their kids in one way or another, but they choose to stick that in the back of their brains and not think about it. Like that same thing that happens in that documentary is they basically bring up the idea of like child predators and like
creepy fans and
and what happens. And one of the moms literally just says like, oh, I try not to think about that.
I just push forward. It's really easy to like plug your ears when you're plugging your ears with like $100 bills.
Yeah. Money talks.
And money silences too. Wow. I feel like I'm a slam poet.
Damn. Yeah, so obviously, like, going off of that, there are many, many dangers.
Obviously, right? The internet is a stupid, stupid place.
Oh, there are so many dangers.
Listen to our podcast on it, though.
I think about all the time, like, the unsupervised access to the internet that I had at such a young age. And I think we especially grew up in an era where like it was prime time for social media, and like Instagram had like just become a thing. Like Omegle was so hot. That was like the sleepover activity. Like every single sleepover you went to in like middle school or even like 5th fucking grade, you go on Omegle and you're just like chatting with random fucking people. And of course, like a dick and balls will come on the screen every now and again, and that's just part of the experience. That's just part of the experience.
Two separate Omegle horror stories is when my friend and I, because like I was never allowed on it. Duh. Actually no, free. I'm sneaking in a third one. I just remembered. But yeah, me and my friend and this like popped on camera, and this guy was like actively masturbating once he saw us. We exited out of it. And then a second older guy was just like, all right, show me your boobs. And like, we were like, I had braces. Like we were obviously, I think
very clearly underage.
I didn't have braces. My friend had braces on. Like we were wearing like Abercrombie, like tight, like we were little girls, and they were just like, so boobs, please. Third, this one actually is really dangerous. So on Omegle, just in case, like, you know, my parents are watching this with like their mouths open in shock. Sorry, mom, dad. But Omegle, like by site design, it just like connects to random people.
Yeah.
Just across the internet, you don't even really need to know each other's like faces or names or whatever. But you can also put in topics. So I put in, because I was like really into Harry Potter, but no one cared to like have me talk about it forever. So I put topic Harry Potter.
Yeah.
And I connected with a random stranger, and we literally talked for like a day, because I'm just like, oh my gosh, like whoever it is, this guy like weirdly cares about everything that I have to say about Harry Potter. And like I don't think it got any like weird, but I think it was definitely about to skirt towards the, so wait, because I think at one point it was like, wow, you're really smart, how old are you? And I was like, 14. And he's just like, wow, you're smarter than any 14-year-old I've ever met. And like small things were like, at the time I was like, aw. Like, I think if anyone straight out went out and be like, all right, now give me your boobs, like I'd be like, oh, this is a predator. But I think up until then I'm like, oh, he just thinks I'm really smart.
Yeah.
And then
and that's how it goes. That's
my parents literally, I was typing on the couch, they like leaned over my shoulders, grabbed my laptop and went, what the fuck is this? And I was, yeah. But they were just like, this could have gotten so fast, They like sent a paragraph like, hi, this is their parents. Like, I'm about to call the police if you ever like, blah, blah, blah. They didn't know how Omegle worked. It was impossible for him to ever contact me again, whoever that was. And I remember at the time, I'm like, no, like, you don't get it. But like, the internet is cruel. And my parents definitely, like, from that moment on, took a way more interest in what I was doing, because they realized, like, since the computer room was no longer a thing, like, we had the family computer, obviously, but like, then I got my own laptop for like school purposes and my own cell phone. And I think my parents realized, like, ever since the computer chair with the computer room and the family computer, watching like Harry Potter Puppet Pals was a thing of the past, that they had no idea what I was doing online.
Yeah. Wow, your parents, frankly, were better than mine. No, just like, I don't think my parents had any fucking idea what I was doing on the internet. Like, oh my god, I was on like Kick all the time, just like chatting to random fucking people.
It took them forever to get me permission to use Snapchat.
Oh my god, no, my parents, well, because my parents just didn't, to be fair, like, my parents are a different generation than yours, so fair. I think they were even more removed from the internet. Like, the internet, like, the internet was like not a thing at all when they were kids. Like, it came a thing when they were like in college. And so I think they literally just had like no idea. So that's the thing, is like, I think about how much like unlimited access I had to the internet that I should not have had. And I think so much of it was simply because my parents didn't know. They didn't understand.
Yeah.
Like,
all they had to go on was like occasionally the nightly news would be like, hey, there's this new app. Be careful. Be aware. Yeah. And then they'd be like, do you have that? I'd be like, oh, I do. They're like, get rid of it.
So that's the thing now, is I'm like, these parents... No.
They know.
These parents grew up with the internet.
They're like 25, 26 through whatever. I'm like, you...
They know the dangers of the internet. They know the types of people that are out there, and they are still choosing to put their children out there. I wanted to bring up, are you familiar with like Violet and Scout, like the little twins on TikTok?
No.
Okay, they were like super popular on TikTok. They were like these adorable little babies. I will admit, I like loved their videos because they were so cute. But the mom, I think her name is Maya, once, I think they like just had their 1 year, or like the kids are now like a year old, and the mom has stopped showing them. and she has stopped showing them on camera. And she at first got a lot of flack for it because they were like, what are you, like, you already fucking showed your kids on the internet. But it's like, you showed your babies, and like what your baby looks like isn't necessarily like what they're going to look like. Once they're getting older and they're getting like recognizable features, I think she kind of started to realize like, oh, I should not have like my children's faces on the internet. And like, that is fine. That is totally acceptable to learn from your mistakes and to realize like, oh, I should not have put my kid on the internet. But so many of these people, I think they truly think about like the cost sunk fallacy, where they're like, well, you know, it's been this long, like, you know, I might as well keep going with it. And they just choose to ignore the dangers of the internet. And that's what really gets me, is that I'm like, you guys know. Like,
you can't feign innocence in this sense.
No. I'm like, you're not stupid. You know exactly what is happening on the internet. You know the types of people that are out there. You know the dangers that you are like putting your kids in, and yet you still are doing it for your own gain. For your own gain. You are never doing this for the benefit of your child. No matter how much you try and convince yourself that like, oh, I'm building a better life for my child and I'm affording them opportunities. I hear this all the time with child actors too, where like the parents are like, oh my God, I'm giving my child opportunities that I never had as a kid. And like, I understand that, and I understand why you might think that, but it's like at the end of the day, oh my God, I literally just spat all over that fucking...
jealous.
Wish it was me.
Finally, love it, goddamn.
It is always for the parent's benefit. It is not for the child's benefit. Like, I don't know. It just really gets me heated. It like really, truly gets me heated.
And like, on all sides, we really don't know how this is going to affect kids long term. Like, because it's kind of it's a new-ish phenomenon. Like, kids are very impressionable. They are by design, right? Like, they're
absorbing.
Their skulls are soft.
Yeah. Malleable.
Like physically, like me molding a baby's skull like it's Play-Doh.
Me purposely pushing it to the soft spot.
Restart.
I've never done that. I would like the record to stay. I've
Spanish
never
mode
done
from
that.
Toy Story 3. But I even like an old friend of mine. She had like a younger sibling, and the younger sibling was on the spectrum. Like she had like a developmental roadblock, and so like she would FaceTime her all the time, and she would talk, and you could tell like she would get kind of quiet when she was just talking about like herself, whatever. But then she would get like talk about this new toy that she got, and she had the exact same inflection and mannerisms as an unboxing YouTubers that she watched, because she was an iPad kid because her dad didn't want to deal with her. So she'd be like, "How was school?" "It's fine, I guess."
Oh, I want to.
And then it'd be like, "And what'd you get?" She's like, "I got this new Barbie doll with a brush hair. Look how pretty she is." And I'm like, I would hear this through the walls and just be like, "Oh, good God."
Well, and especially with all of these, because those are like the big channels, and so many of these channels, obviously, like they're doing advertising for like toys and stuff like that, and it just pushes
Fortnite, V-Bucks, you know.
Yeah, it just pushes consumerism onto these children, and they think that they constantly need new things, and they need the best thing, and they need these expensive things, and like it is forcing that idea of like, oh, well, if my parents loved me enough, they would get me this thing. Or even like with Santa, like you have these, these family vlogs of like, oh my God, like Santa came, let's unwrap these gifts. And this kid is getting a Louis Vuitton backpack, bringing it back. This kid's getting a Louis Vuitton backpack, and it's like, I got training bras for Christmas. Like,
yeah, Santa was
I
like,
got a
you need to
stick
keep
of
them in.
gum. And it can just create these feelings of like inadequacy and like unfairness and of like want that would not be there otherwise, I think. And not that like kids are immune to advertising, obviously, on like TV and things like that, but I think this is just a new level that is like infiltrated, especially when it's like you have that parasocial relationship to like your favorite YouTuber, and your favorite YouTuber is telling you that like this is the next best toy. You trust them. Yeah. You trust them, and you don't understand. You don't have the like means
kids don't know, like
to
kids
understand
can't pick
that
up
it's
on
an
that.
advertisement. Yeah, and it just like it's just bad all around.
Yeah. And that's the other thing too, like that you brought up, because like we brought up how it's much easier to get into like more of a parasocial relationship with influencers than it is to like your typical actors. Same with like children, but like child actors, like Haley Joel Osment, you know, was obviously famous, but he was famous because he did roles.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like, and nowadays it's so easy to, like, there's a difference between a child acting in a part, because that comes with its own, like, you know, level of exploitation, versus your child's actual life, their home.
Mm-hmm.
The Ace family has, like, accidentally doxed themselves 3 times because they couldn't help but show off their giant home from the outside. So people have found out exactly where they live. And, like, that's dangerous. Don't you have, like, 3 very young children? It's the difference between, like, kids in Hollywood. There are different roadblocks in place to avoid the most obvious kinds of child exploitation in Hollywood and the other entertainment industries, versus influencers. It's way more of, like, a breach of privacy, because it's not just like they're not playing a part. Well, they are, but it's also just them.
Yeah.
And also, like, I just can't think of any plus for child influencers. Like, if you want something to sit down and watch with your kid, watch Bluey.
Yeah, that's like,
watch
the thing
Blue's
is, like,
Clues. Like,
there's so much content out there that is meant for children, and that is not, like, obviously exploiting children, that there's no reason for it. And I think, do you want to kind of, we can get into, like, children being their own people.
Yeah.
Okay. This is something I kind of wanted to bring up, is that I think, I mean, obviously, like, people grow up and kind of forget what it feels like to be a kid, and forget, like, the emotions that come along with it, and, like, you know, the emotional processing that we were, like, talking about before. Like, I think it's so easy to kind of, like, forget that, and to understand that, like, your child is experiencing everything for the first time, when you feel like you're like, oh, like, I've experienced all this, like, I already know, you know, whatever. But with that, people also often forget that children are individuals, and that they are human beings, and that they are people who need choice, who need a sense of agency in their lives. And, like, yes, as a parent, you have a responsibility to guide them in the right direction, and to, you know, obviously, like, step in when the child is not capable of making, like, the best choice in certain certain situations. But so many of these family vloggers and TikTokers forget that, like, their children have their own lives and futures ahead of them. What is going to happen when they are an adult and they have all of these videos on the internet forever? We all know about a digital footprint that is out there forever, and they have this, like, past haunting them that they can never move on from, because every fucking job interview they go to, they're like, oh my god, wait, like, is your last name's Ace? Were you a part of the Ace family? Wait, you know, like,
oh my god, that's whatever happened to you.
And everyone has access to their entire childhood and their childhood memories and all this. Like, that is just, like,
so it would be so hard to feel genuine. It would be so hard to trust your parents, to, like, keep any secret that you tell them. It would be so hard to connect with other people.
Well, and so many parents, I think, like, maybe just don't have the foresight to understand that, like, this is going to have long-term impacts on their personhood. Because when they're children, I think people forget that, like, they're going to grow up.
Yep.
They are going to become adults. They're fully
not if I have
formed,
anything to say, like, about it.
Individuals.
Get on my baseball bat.
Stop. Pinata time.
Digital footprint.
It is, but like, so many of these parents, I think, like, truly, like, obviously they see their children as, like, their children, but they don't see them as individuals, and they use them as props, and they use them as pets, and it can be like, and they patronize them, and they, like, show them off in this way that is so clear that, like, these parents don't see them as, like, individuals who are capable of, like, making their own choices, which, like, to a certain extent they're not, because they're children, but like, they still have needs. They still need, like, that is a human need, is the need for, like, choice and agency. And I think it can be so easy to get caught up in the instant gratification and, like, the immediate impacts and benefits of, like, social media, and like, the things that can provide for you and your family. But, like, as a parent, it is literally your responsibility to consider the broader implications of, like, how things will impact your child's life and impact their development. And it's it's just so selfish. At the end of the day, it's so incredibly selfish to put your child in a situation like that. And like, again, no matter what benefits they are, and the only benefits are monetary.
Yeah.
Let's be honest here. That is the only benefit. And if you think that that benefit is outweighing the benefit of like having a good relationship with your child,
having a well-adjusted child.
Yeah. Of having like it's, I don't know. That's all I have to say on that. I just think so often people forget that like children are people, that children are human beings. And I remember feeling that way when I was a kid. I remember getting so upset when people would like patronize me and they would like act like I was never capable of making a decision by myself. And it's like, even though I'm only 6 years old, like I can make a decision, and it's like sometimes it's not always the right decision, and yes, obviously like parents needed to step in, but like there are certain things where like you as a child you have the right to privacy and you have the right to choice, and parents just are like, no, you're my kid, I'm gonna make the decisions for you, and it's not always the best decision.
Yeesh. I'm gonna end it. So there is a TikToker. She's very cool. Her name is Caroline_Esom. She has like a whole like playlist about all the like. She's the one that came up with the term Kidfluencers, by the way, that we stole. We stole it with our grimy little paws.
Why are you telling them?
They'll figure it out, Kaylynne. Yeah, she has a whole like playlist of videos talking about stuff like this. But someone sent her an anonymous letter. She like prefaced it by being like, I've fact check this, I verified this is real, but for their sake of privacy, I'm actually going to give them privacy.
For like the first fucking time in their life.
And this letter hurt my heart, so I'm going to do a live reading.
Oh my god.
Beep beep. Anonymous letter from a teen that has had their childhood monetized online. To any parents that are considering starting a family vlog or monetizing your children's lives on the public internet, here's my advice. You shouldn't do it. Any money you get will be greatly overshadowed by years of suffering and very hard work for you and your child to keep up with trends and media. And if you do manage to do it, your child will never be normal. You will be their boss and they will be your employee, which is a horrible relationship to have with your kid. It'll be hard for them to go out in public without being noticed. You'll constantly be harassed by brands online and networks. And worst of all, your children will be sent inappropriate messages and videos. If they have over 100K subscribers, there will be some sick guy or girl out there who puts weird comments there. I know because it happened to me all the time. My parents show me these messages, some of them, but most of the time I find them on my own and I have to sigh, screenshot them, report them, and turn off my phone because I'm in too deep. There is no going back now, and I never consented to being online. I wouldn't have been able to anyway. I was 2 or 3 when I went viral for the first time, and now there's things I just can't do. There are several things about me and my identity that the world is allowed to know because I don't choose what content my parents post. The channel isn't mine. Again, they're the boss and I'm the employee. I never signed a contract, but for some reason, through some stupid legal loopholes, this is legal and I can't escape. No, I've never been hit, but my childhood came with its own trauma. I've been an employee since I was 5 and I hate it, so don't do it. If you don't regret it, then your kids will. To any kids out there struggling like I am, hold on. Keep pushing for getting off YouTube. Never look up your name on any site. Never look at comments, and if all else fails, perfect your perfect thumbnail face and fake smile and start counting down the days until you can leave.
Yeah.
And like, honestly, I get that it can be so hard to view your kid as a person when your kid like shits their pants and you have to change their diapers and they look so cute with their little like sponsored posts and you get money out of bragging about your kid, which you would have done anyway. Like, whatever, I said this already in a previous episode, but like the road to hell is paved in good intentions, and like obviously it really just is up to like a moral standard for you to just be like, hey, even though it would be super easy to exploit my kid and I would get like a shit ton of money, maybe I'll just be a good person and not do that, you know? Yeah. Frankly.
Again, I feel like we talk about this in like almost every episode. Why do we talk about like parenthood so much as literal like
as unchilded women?
We have a lot of opinions on being parents.
My parents watch this and just like laugh. They're like, "Oh, I'm sure you do." No, tell me more. Tell me more about how parenthood is hard, and you have any parent advice from the highest horse. No. This horse is so high.
Oh my god,
it's blazed.
Oh my god, no. But like as a parent, it is literally your responsibility to like raise capable individuals And that has to be your priority always. That has to be your priority above everything else. And I just, unfortunately, a lot of people prioritize money more than they prioritize like the well-being of their own children. And again, it's like they will convince themselves that what they are doing is fine, and they will convince themselves that everything that they are doing is for the benefit of their child. But it's like, if you actually really thought about it and did any like deep introspection or any like self-critiquing, you would pretty easily, I think, come to the realization that like this is not the best thing for your children.
Yeah. Are you ever sad sometimes that your parents didn't back you up on your YouTuber career?
No, they did. Well, my mom did. I don't even think my dad knew that I like had a YouTube channel. But so fun fact about me, I wanted to be a little beauty influencer.
You're like, I wasn't going to say this on the podcast, Skylar, but I guess since you forced my hand.
No, it's fine. I'm not going to say that.
No, it's funny. The more, actually, I don't know how, but YouTube knew that we were friends because your ancient 8th grade Get Ready With Me video came up on my For You page.
I don't know how. Yeah, my YouTube videos are still up. If you guys want to watch them, it's fine. They're deeply embarrassing. But at least I was making the choice. Because the thing is, I was filming them. I was editing them. I think I was like 12 or 11 when I like first started my YouTube channel. And I was doing all of it. Like, I was editing it, I was filming it, I was coming up with the video ideas. Like, I very much consented to do it. I was uploading it. Actually, I think I was doing it like without my parents knowing. And then eventually my mom was like, why are you always talking to yourself in your room? And I was like, I'm a YouTuber. And yeah, so that was like very much my own choice. And I remember my mom, honestly, my mom had the problem where she was too supportive of everything I wanted to do. Like, anything that I was like, oh, I'm kind of interested in that, my mom was like, oh my God. Like, I was like, oh yeah, I really like art. She's like, here are some art supplies. Let's get you into art camp. Like, she was very like creative and like very supportive of any creative endeavor I like ever wanted to do. And like, I'm so thankful for that. Obviously, I think that's like very good parenting, is just to be unconditionally supportive of your children. But she got a little too excited. But I remember like, I wanted to like get a camera to like, and you know, start upgrading my equipment, and like my mom helped me with that. And yeah, she was maybe like a little too supportive about it. But I was so inconsistent with posting because I was embarrassed that like people from school would find out that I was doing it, which like, I don't know why I thought like I could become a famous YouTuber without anyone from school finding out. Shocking, I did not become a famous YouTuber. I think I had like 1,000 subscribers, which honestly like pretty good. But I was so inconsistent with it. Yeah, but I literally like had a YouTube channel from age of 11 to like, I was posting on it until I was like 16 maybe.
Yeah, like I think they did a poll I think a couple years ago, and it's like kids now, like the top most popular future like career job they want to go to is they want to be a YouTuber.
Yeah.
Like, so it's
like,
again,
why would you not?
Exactly. If to a kid, like all you do is like sit around, not do any work, and get free shit all day.
Yeah.
Like, of course you would want to. And so again, like you can totally tell that these parents are like, no, like my kid really wanted to do it. And I'm like, yeah. And I really wanted to like eat paint when I was a kid. It was wrong.
I loved sniffing glue.
I really like the smell. I still like the smell of gasoline. Like step in, maybe. Your kids don't always have the best, brightest, big brains all the time.
Well, and it's also like there are things that you can do. Like, let's say your kid does want to start a YouTube channel. Like, you can have them upload videos privately. And it's like, yeah, it kind of sucks that like that, you know, obviously like I think a lot of people, a big reason I wanted to become like a YouTuber when I was a kid is because I wanted the attention. Like, I wanted people to see my videos, and I wanted like the interaction and you know, things like that. But it's like, if your kid really wants to start a YouTube channel, you know, have them upload videos privately, create like a private Instagram, and that you control, and you know, things like that. Like, there are things around it if this is something that like your kid really like wants to do. But yeah, I guess that's just kind of the end. That's that on that.
Yeah.
It's just another kind of depressing topic. God damn.
We gotta do some happier ones.
Yeah,
here.
We'll do a happy one.
Our
next
little
week.
podcast name is Point and Laugh, and all we do is just basically like, hi, I'm Anderson Cooper. Your life is bad. People are being taken advantage of, and there's nothing that you can do about it.
Society sucks. You're welcome.
Society.
What's that Timothée Chalamet quote where he's like, society is on the brink, or we are on the brink of a societal collapse.
The polar ice caps are melting.
Yeah, but I think this is a really interesting topic, and this is something that like we've talked about a lot before, and I think this was a topic that has been on our list for a while to discuss, just because like there's so much that goes on with it, and obviously it's something that's like very prevalent in our current day and age,
and it's only gonna get more prevalent.
Yeah, exactly.
Like even like me scrolling through YouTube, like the Ace Family will come up in my recommended videos, and I'm just like, YouTube, aren't you supposed to have a really good algorithm? Like Netflix even is like trying to cater. They're like, because here's the thing, according to Netflix, I watch a lot of kid stuff, and that's only because I do. I'm a huge animation fan, and a lot of like animation is kid-centered, so I watch a lot of kid stuff, and so sometimes Netflix will be like, you got a kid? Is this for you? And a lot of them will be like trying to mimic the style of like a kid YouTuber, like influencer or whatever, and I'm like,
Well, and especially on TikTok, like I got so much like mommy TikTok content when I was on TikTok, just because I don't honestly like, it was kind of intriguing. Like it was very, especially like, I don't know, the gentle parenting stuff I was always very intrigued by. And even the thing is, even with, I think everyone knows the account that I'm talking about with the gentle parenting, even in situations like that, again, it's the mommy bloggers who have good intentions, and it's hard in a situation like that, because I do think that's a good resource, and I think it is teaching a lot of people like how to like properly like parent their children.
Discipline,
but it's also like at the other side, like her children
my daughter
are
the
not,
other day said, I'm like, no,
like her children are not young enough, or are not old enough to consent to like those videos going up and those videos being shown to other people. And like that's a TikTok account that like shows her kids having tantrums and how she handles it, and it's like, yes, that's a good resource, but at the end of the day, like, is there a way that you can reenact? Here's the thing with things like that, because I do think it is a good resource for a lot of parents, and I think it's teaching like good parenting skills, but I think with a situation like that, you can reenact those scenarios without actually putting your children.
That guy that like that teacher, instead of like filming his students. Like, okay, also that guy is probably like he's like fucking alt-right, whatever. But the concept is he's a teacher. He wanted to tell fun stories about his classroom, so he just impersonates his students. Yes. By, like putting on like a little kid voice and like having his tummy out. Like
that is something you can do.
I literally don't even care.
Like that, like you can just reenact the scenario. Like you don't have to put your children on camera on such a public platform. And yeah, it is kind of a complicated like world, but at the end of the day, like, don't put your kids on the internet. I just don't think there's any situation where like it's appropriate to do, you know?
Yeah. Kaylynne, I'm going to make a compilation video of every time you say at the end of the day, and I'm going to make it a beat, and I'm going to rap over it.
I'm sorry. I only have I have certain things that my brain just clings to.
I love pointing out people's catchphrases, because I feel like people don't know they have catchphrases. They're just like, you say this a lot, and they're like, occasionally. And then I feel like I need to like get like a Pavlov like clicker.
Literally. What's the other one that I say all the time? You pointed it out.
Not to mention.
I do say that a lot. There's one. Whatever. It doesn't matter.
I'll find it. Figure it out. Figure it out. I have some, right?
Yes. But it would require me having a good memory, so which we all know I lack.
Damn. I don't remember. I don't know my own catchphrases. Yeah, people will be like, you do this all the time. Like,
wait, I think that happened the other day where I was literally like, you say that a lot, and you were like, Kaylynne, stop, I'm getting war flashbacks. I'm getting flashbacks. Wow. That's what it was. It was the Owen Wilson wow. And I was like, you do that.
And I was like, huh?
What? Oh my god. Anyway, thank you all so much for listening. Don't forget to
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. We are on YouTube. We are on Apple Podcasts. We are on Spotify. Recommend this to your friends. Word of mouth is wonderful. And I hope you enjoyed this conversation. I think it was very, very interesting.
Our digital footprint will be vast and ever long.
Yeah, I know. I love putting myself on the internet.
We did this whole thing about how bad it was, and here we're gonna see this podcast in like 10 years and be like, oh my god, why did they do that?
I know. Sometimes I'm like editing the podcast and I'm like, why the fuck did I say that?
There's ever a moment, because like here's the thing too, is like you edit the podcast, I don't. I get like a preview and I'm just like, what the fuck did I say?
Yeah. Yes. I think that'll be the end. Thank you all so much for listening. We really appreciate it. We really love it, and
we love you personally.
Yes, personally, we probably do know everyone who's listening.
Shut up. Shut up.
And that's all.
Okay, bye.